Hey everybody. So there's a big question about how the culture of dating, how the culture of relationships has changed. It's this big thing about red flags and how men are this way and women are this way. We're biologically different, absolutely. But how has social media, culture infected that? Or how has it made it better? What do you think? Has it made it better? Take a look at the world around right now. And I'm not going to get political on anything. Men are absolutely being disempowered. And the weird part about it is with this whole concept of toxic masculinity, which unfortunately has not been defined by just about anybody. It's really this concept of someone who is really embodies that concept, the older concept of what a man is. The only thing that people can put to that is this concept, okay, that you're aggressive. You are the man, the provider, the aggressor, which is still a biological component, which really is something that even in society base, you can't actually change. So then you work towards the more feminist side of things, which is supposed to be empowering women, which has actually ended up disempowering the feminine qualities of women, that they're supposed to be the boss babe, that kind of stuff. So you have this major clash of meeting in the middle where they're trying to sort of remove that definition. Unfortunately, as much as it's emasculating men, it's actually disempowering really the creative ability of women. So what you have is this one side where you have women, and I've seen posts recently about things like that, where every single thing about empowering a woman is knocking down a man. And this one I saw where every time they refer to a man, they call him a Neanderthal. And there's a perfect example. By the sheer fact that you have to rubber stamp half of the species, men, with a derogatory comment, absolutely shows where you're coming from. That is not empowering anything. If your power has to come from this concept of knocking another down, that's an illusion of you growing because you need to knock somebody beneath you, especially if you need to do it in that very aggressive persona to begin with, where it's like, yeah, I'm the high and mighty and all of these are absolutely pathetic. Not to mention statistical facts and everything else they're completely misquoting. Again, that's a victim mentality. That's not a position of strength, which is what you're trying to portray. And what that is someone who's boasting a position of strength. Now, the real position of strength doesn't boast anything. It doesn't require a victim, but they need to do that. And what has happened when it comes to society and the culture is this rubber stamping of red flags of how take a look for the bad, take a look for the bad. This is what somebody's doing. It sucks. Unfortunately, the new red flag really is that everybody's looking at red flags, and people take a look about what's wrong with somebody. They don't try to look at the beauty of anybody anymore. And really, while you're busy looking at all those red flags, victimizing the world, you don't recognize that's victimization of self at the same time, because that's a big red flag where, as you're looking externally on controlling all these things and following these other things where there's this illusion of, yeah, man, this is on the power. Where are you looking at really just the authentic image of yourself? Where's the beauty? Where's the peace? Where's the love when it comes to yourself? And it doesn't mean you have to be a pacifist by any stretch of the imagination at all. But it does mean just looking in the mirror and owning what's there, owning what it is you create, owning what it is you attract, because you are responsible for every single thing that you attract. It doesn't mean that bad things don't happen to good people, but at least at that point in time, take a look at where your manifestation process is, the vibe of you that has perpetuated anything that is remotely even similar to some of the bad things. If there is a pattern in your life, look at yourself. And do you notice how none of that shit has anything to do with social media whatsoever? Yeah, because it's the person in the mirror. It's you and you alone, and how you own this and how you rock this, and then what it is that you put out. And if you're truly giving to the world at that point in time, then you're giving from that place of love, and you're giving from that place of peace, and you're giving from a place of happiness. It's really the happy project, which life has seemed to have lost. Because if you take a look really at just globally society, it's essentially perpetuating a world of crisis and fear. And as long as you are staying in that, and it's difficult to step out of it because you live in this world and it's everywhere, well, then you can really embody that. And now if we start to embody that personally within relationships as well, doesn't it make sense that should be the exact opposite? If you have people in power that are really perpetuating crisis and fear, which is a lot of bullshit, then should not we together, where we live, interact, love, just where we create our personal life, is not that the place where we should be more unified than ever? But really what we end up doing is really end up in this divisive mode where now we have the sexes going battling against each other. And really, everything is perpetuated as forget about this person, forget about that person. They suck, red flags, and just this power. Well, isn't that exactly what the problem is to begin with, what we're exposed to? Real power is something that's peaceful. And it's really looking for the happiness in the world and creating it. And then, quite frankly, if you were living in that beautiful world and you had this beautiful family and everything was great, a couple of beautiful friends, which is really typical of the adult life, you would not allow some drug-induced individual to barge down your door, or just you knock on the door and invite them in for dinner, more than likely, because they were a danger. You wouldn't allow the crisis into your immediate world, some microcosm of how you should view society. You wouldn't allow it. So then why are you doing it? Why are you literally posting it or doing anything different? And if you're literally posting online, living your entire happiness by likes, and then nailing somebody else, and that's something you see between men and women quite a bit, how one person is very guilty of it, but how dare you go ahead and do it? You can't ask for what you're not willing to do yourself. So again, it's living very authentically and very true when it comes to yourself, and making sure you're giving that part out to the world as well. And you have to not just stand for it. Like, that's what you stand for as a moral in your life. It's something you have to give, but it is something you have to live in your daily life. You can't put it out there until you're living in your daily life yourself, or at least attempting to be that responsible to do so. Honor this before you're judging any of that. When you're living this, still don't judge that. Give this more outwardly in the most beautiful, peaceful way that you can. Because people want it no matter what. They want that more than crisis, more than fear, more than do nothing but looking for red flags. And it's definitely not a fuck you to anybody. It's a love you. Love yourself, and then love each other. Because that's where you come from no matter what. And eventually, no matter what, that's where you're going. It's literally the one thing that everybody's looking for, is to be loved, validated, and accepted as the individual they are. Start right here. Give that to yourself. And once you do that, now you can live and breathe that and give that vibration to other people. If you're not, at the end of the day, you're going to see the inauthenticity, the disingenuous nature of what you're putting out. And those vibes are going to be definitely split. They're going to be like a frayed wire sending electricity all over the place. And that is crisis. You have something that's peaceful. Here, you'll give it out there. Seek it out there. Ask for it out there. Put it out there. And that's what you're going to eventually attract. And the rest of the stuff simply will no longer belong here. We create that together as a society, relationships, friendships. That is how you change the world. Take care.